My maternal family has a secret recipe for enhancement and waste reduction. Just put a secret pill in your belly button and you can be graceful and fragrant all over. All the women in our village are crazy about this fragrance. But no one knows that the fragrance is captivating at first, but it can be deadly if smelled for a long time. In late spring, the cats in the village meow loudly. My mother gave birth in the East Room, and the sound of pain mixed with the meowing of cats. I was so shocked that my scalp went numb. Finally, my mother gave birth. My father recited a Mataba Buddha and urged me to hurry up and get some porridge. Parents have always been loving. I'm afraid I'll be scolded by my father if I'm 1 minute late. Quickly went to get a bowl of brown sugar egg porridge, lifted the door curtain of the main room. A strange fragrance rushed towards my face. It seems that my mother gave birth to a younger sister for me. My mother has a secret recipe at home. The pills made from it can be stuffed into the navel to enlarge, slim waist, and make the whole body fragrant. My mother has been using it for many years, and every time she gives birth to a baby girl, she will have her own fragrance. Father held his fourth younger sister in his arms. The biological mother leaned against the head of the bed, her chest wet, looking even more charming. I fed my mother porridge, and the delivery lady was busy congratulating my father. My father is different from other men in the village. He likes girls. My mother also worked hard and gave birth to 4 children for him in a row. It's a pity that my eldest and second sisters got lost while helping my parents dig for medicinal materials. Otherwise, I would have gotten married this year. Thinking of my sister, I sighed from the bottom of my heart. I saw my father giving the midwife a bunch of money and a piece of pork as a reward. The old lady thanked me and gave me a malicious glance. I turned around and asked my mother, I see that Jodi's condition is getting better and better. I'm sure your family will have to make Chejongxiang this year. If you do, can you leave me a copy? My mother looked at me in a panic and suddenly choked on the porridge, coughing. My father was not very happy and said to the old woman with a black face, If you do it, you will naturally leave a share. Jodi helped Dad see off guests. Posey smiled and picked up the pork and went out to the door. He asked me how old I was. I said 14, and he clicked his tongue twice, shaking his head with regret. Your mother is going to make medicine again, at the age of a flower. What a pity. I don't understand the meaning of his words. I looked at him with confusion. He stopped talking, leaned over to my neck, sniffed, and said, fragrant. He pinched my bulging chest again. If he could develop her figure, it would be worth 5 taels of silver. I stayed away a bit. We moved to this village for 2 years, and my parents made pills for 2 years. The pill is bright red, and only 49 portions are made each year. I want to sell it to the villagers for 1 or 2 taels of silver, but no one in this village believed it. After all, my mother only sold 1 copy. My mother had no choice but to sell it. Teo Yingchen building in the city for 5 taels of silver per share. But who knew, this year everyone in the village is rushing to buy from my mother again. The courtyard is wet, full of blood spilled out by midwives. The bright red water flowed all the way to the flower pond by the fence, and the big moon was particularly dazzling in the ground. I entered the room, and Dad was helping Mom wipe her body. My mother has to raise people. Even after giving birth to a child, she is like a virgin. So, Dad looks at Mom with sticky eyes all day long. When my mother saw me, her face turned red and she pushed my father away, her almond eyes filled with water. Pull up one side of the blanket and roll it inward to block the snow-white leather all over your body. I buried my head and pretended not to see, asking if I could give Lei Yatu a portion of Chejongxiang made by the Empress. Lei Yatu is my best playmate, 1 year older than me, thin and small, with sores all over her body. Her father always says she's ugly and wants to give her to the fool in the next village, secretly thinking if he becomes more attractive after using Chejongxiang, he can probably marry better. But his family has no money, so I can only beg my mother to give him a free gift with a straight face. My mother shook her head and said no, my family is rich and we have the best food, clothing, and daily necessities in the village. Even when drinking tea, we only drink Tinder tips. Whenever I have a request, my parents will also respond. Today, my mother refused, and my mother held my hand to coax me. JOD, listen to your mother, that medicine cannot be used. Casually, if not used properly, it will be fatal. Who would believe it? It's just falling into the eyes of money. They say that if the medicine doesn't work well, it will kill you. My mother used it all her life. I bought nearly 100 copies in the ancient building into years, but I haven't heard of any girl dying. I was feeling unhappy when suddenly a gong rang in the village and someone outside called me mother. Jaudi's mother, she's flying a zither. Go watch her fly a zither quickly. My mother just gave birth, so naturally she can't join in any excitement. My dad is quick. He pulls up his shoes, pushes open the door, and runs out. I wanted to follow, but I saw my mother's body suddenly tremble. He hugged him with a pale face and said, Jaudi, don't go. I don't know what flying a zither is. I was gambling with my mother, and I wouldn't listen to him. I pushed open the door and followed my father to the end of Kingshi Lane. There is a naked woman hanging from the top of the archway, with disheveled hair and a rat stuffed in her mouth, surrounded by people below. The midwife, who delivered my mother, was spitting on the ground and gossiping with others. Look at her raised and big butt, she looks like a piece of junk. Look at her slender waist again. She would sneak into her brother-in-law's room when her husband died. She is really shameless. He is not the only one in our village who uses chejongxiang. He raised a delicate and tender body to act cheap and deserves to be flown like a zither. I was puzzled in my heart. They looked down on the woman's figure, but they all wanted to buy chejongxiang from my mother and become like that. He used the scissors in his hand to cut a few times under the woman's body, taught his body in pain, and tilted his head back with force. But with the cloth stuffed in his mouth, he couldn't make a sound. Immediately after, the tribal chief pulled out something, held it in his hand, and cut the rope hanging the person with scissors. The woman fell down the archway like a kite, but behind her was a long string which turned out to be his intestines. A burst of cheers sounded, and the midwife and the woman next to him grabbed the stones on the ground, cursing and smashing them. The woman opened her eyes and blood was coming out of her mouth. I dare not look again, dragging my weak legs and running home. When I rushed into my mother's room, my father followed me back. Mother didn't care about the fourth younger sister who was crying for milk and hurriedly asked Widow Wang. My father replied lightly, last year when my mother was making pills, the Widow Wang in this village bought one. She said she was buying it, but in fact, my mother secretly gave it to her. The widow of the king used to have black spots all over her face, a flat waist, and buttocks. Since taking medicine, she has become more delicate and lively every day. The villagers watched her become more and more charming, and only this year did they think of buying medicine with my mother. I was trembling with fear and was hugged by my mother, but there was an uncontrollable pleasure in my mother's tone. She asked me if my father's flying zither was good looking. My father nodded and looked at my mother affectionately, looking good. Thinking of that intestine, I felt nauseous and suddenly remembered what my mother had said to me before. That medicine cannot be used casually. If not used properly, it will be life-threatening and my vision will turn black. I tilted my head and passed out just at the moment of passing out. I heard my mother ask my father, "Did you get that thing back?" I don't know when I returned to the room. When I woke up, the sky was slowly getting bright. There was a sound coming from the yard, and I got up and saw my dad, carrying several buckets of water through the window. He washed away the blood in the yard, then took a shovel to the flower pond and buried something in it. Not long after, people came to the house one after another, all of whom were women carrying brown sugar, millet, and eggs to breastfeed. I was afraid they would bring up what happened last night again, but fortunately they didn't chat for long before begging my mother to sell them the medicine. I forced myself to serve them tea and water, but they looked at me and whispered. I felt creepy all over, so I just went out of the yard to find Leotao's house. He was chopping wood, and I handed him the cake. He wolfed it down and stuffed it into his mouth, choking and rolling his eyes. I helped him pat his back, and he finally recovered. Suddenly thought of something, lowered your voice, and said to me, Jyoti, your family is going to make medicine again, right? You should run away quickly. The villagers all say that if your family wants to make that pill, they have to crush your bones and turn you into a medicine primer. I was startled. Nonsense. My parents love me so much. How can I bear to part with them? They all say that your two sisters were not lost at all, but were killed by your parents and made into medicine. I shook it and almost sat down on the ground. My two older sisters are twins and have always been inseparable. The first year they moved here, their parents took them to the mountains to collect hers. But when I came back at night, only my parents came back. They said the two sisters went missing together, and the villagers helped search for them for several days. Later, my mother didn't let me find it anymore, saying it was probably eaten by a wild wolf. After that, my parents started making chezhongxiang, and soon the first pot was ready. I swallowed a few mouthfuls of saliva, left the duck head behind, and ran home. The east wing of the house is specifically used for making medicine, and my parents never let me in. I want to see what chezhongxiang's materials are. Pushing open the courtyard door, my father was lying on a rattan chair sunbathing. In the vegetable garden, his good brothers from those villages are plowing the land. My dad is a lazy person. He is diligent in making pills all year round, usually only know how to play with cats and dogs. Brag and chat with brothers, so lazy that even the vegetable garden at home has to be cleaned up by others. Those people stretched their necks and looked into my mother's window. Seeing me come back, he reluctantly withdrew his gaze, spat in his palm, picked up his hoe, and continued to work. My father watched, and I dared not go to the east wing, so I brought tea for my father to drink. Those people took a look at me. Jyoti is a bit taller. My body still smells so good today, but it looks even whiter now. Usually when they see me, they say these words, but today when they hear me, their legs are trembling. Fear is like the cold wind of lava, drilling inch by inch into the bone seams. I pursed my lips and remained silent. Those people thought I was shy and said to themselves that they spent 5 taels of silver. If they could raise their own wife like Jyoti, it would be worth more than 5 taels. Not expensive, it's like getting a new wife. I just don't know if our brother is willing to sell us the materials. Dad threw a peanut into his mouth without making a sound, but saw Mom holding fourth sister. While breastfeeding under the window in the room, I replied that I had discussed it with Jyoti's father. I'll sell it to you for 2 taels of silver. After selling it, we won't do it again this year. Anyway, I'm just raising a daughter, so I have enough money to spend. Those uncles greedily looked at my mother and shouted with joy. But I felt like I had been splashed with ice water, and no one noticed what my mother had just said. From now on, I will raise a daughter and have enough money to spend. Although my mother has 2 daughters now, I panicked and accidentally smashed the teapot in my hand. Fourth sister was so scared that she cried. My mother frowned and looked at me for a long time, then gave my father a wink. My father drove those people away, and I was shocked for a while, then tittied up the teapot. I turned around and walked out of the gate. I wanted to escape, but I didn't want to see what was in the east compartment anymore. Just thinking about escaping quickly just took a step. With a loud bang, I looked down and saw a kitchen knife thrown at my feet. If I take another step forward, it will hit my feet. I screamed in fright and withdrew my foot. "Where is Jody going?" my father asked leisurely. I clenched the hem of my skirt and trembled as I said I was going to throw away that broken teapot. My father pouted at the chicken rack and threw it into the rack while slaughtering a chicken. I stiffened my scalp and picked up the kitchen knife on the ground to catch chickens on the chicken rack. I have something on my mind. My hands are shaking nonstop. The chicken frame door opened, but I didn't catch it, and the chicken flew all over the yard. My dad is cursing. I held back my anxiety and went to catch them one by one. When I caught the flower pond, a big rooster is digging soil. While digging, it picked up something and shook its head. I leaned in to take a look, scared to take a few steps back. Completely collapsed on the ground. The big rooster is holding a piece of intestine in its mouth. The scene of Wong Widow being flown a zither. It keeps playing in my mind over and over again. Think about last night when my mother asked my father, "Did you get the things back?" I lay on the ground and retched. My dad came over and ripped off the intestine and buried it again. Grab the rooster, hand up, knife down. Chop off the neck directly. Chicken blood is all over the ground. I think of those around Zhejiang, also red, blood-like color. My dad glanced at me. "What are you afraid of?" "Just a piece of sheep intestine." Saying that, he picked me up from the ground, let me boil water and stew chicken. I turned around and looked at the dizzying pool twice. I came to this village 2 years ago. My mother asked my father to build such a pond to raise flowers. Parents always come here to see flowers in the summer. In winter, they looked at the empty pool and muttered to themselves. I suddenly thought, it seems like something is buried underneath. Is it the older sister? I'm scared to death. Squeeze this idea hard. After an hour of trembling, chicken soup is ready. I brought a bowl of chicken soup for my mother. My mother sipped and glanced at me a few times. Jody has something on her mind. Why is your complexion not good? Go find Leia today. What did Leia say? A series of questions from the mother. Every question makes me tremble with fear. I don't know how to answer. My younger sister cried and my mother asked me to go change her diaper. Wait for me to change. Mother handed me her bowl of chicken soup. Mother has no appetite. You drink it. My brother has made up his mind. Run away tonight. The thought of wanting. Leaving my mother makes my heart sour. Swallow the chicken soup bite by bite. I was thinking about when I left. Do you want to bring Rhea? But I saw my mother's face swaying in front of me. I reached out my hand to my mother. My mother took advantage of me to change fourth sister's diaper. Put drugs in the chicken soup. When I wake up, it's already night. I was tied up in the medicine room in Dongxiang. Mother stripped me naked, humming a tune and applying perfume on me. My mother has always told outsiders our 4 daughters were born like. But I know we didn't stuff medicine into the belly button, but it can ensure that the fragrance continues. It's because my mother applies perfume to her body every day. I called out Mother. Mother turned up the oil lamp a bit. What do you know when you land? Right, my tears are falling down with a crackling sound. Mother, are you really going to turn me into pills to sell? My mother took out a handkerchief to wipe her hands. From growing flesh to fingertips, every place is carefully taken care of. He patted his 4th younger sister in his arms again. Worthless girl, your father and I have raised you for all these years. Trade you for some silver. Why do you hideous? My mother is right. The women in this village are worthless. There are many people who sleep in the pigsty like Laia. Immortality is a blessing. Enjoying happiness like me. That is unique. Mother fed me a mouthful of honey water. I suddenly heard the call of the villagers outside. The sound is high and low. They call me by my name. I looked at my mother with hatred. You tell them I got lost too. The people in the village have long known that you killed your daughter. Who is the drug introduction for? My mother held up her little finger to help me wipe my mouth. do it for the village to see. Everyone knows. What materials are used to make that pill? Let them know you're dead. Only then did I believe that the fragrance was genuine. Really interesting. My parents pretended to lose me. They are also pretending to look for. Actually, in my heart. Everyone knows I'm dead. The shouting continued for a while. Gradually disappeared. How dare my mother? Dust on the clothes. Mother can't bear to part with you. However, I still have to send you on your way. She shut my mouth. Hang me on the beam. Then he picked up the scissors and aimed them at me. I think of Wang, widow who was flown as thither, remembering the section of intestines in the flower pond. The cold light of the scissors flashed. I closed my eyes tightly. Click, I'm not in pain. Promoted in the room. Only the creaking sound of the rope pulling the ceiling beam remains. I slowly opened my eyes. I saw my mother cut a strand of my hair. Hold it in your hand. I want to call my mother, but the mouth is still blocked. At this time, the gate creaked open. My dad is back. Mother put me down and untied me. Put on your clothes again. My empress reached out to touch my head. I was scared and leaned tightly against the corner. Can't even stand. I'm paralyzed and can't even speak. I don't know what her heart is. Dad came in. I saw the hair in my mother's hand. Look at me again. The doctor asked me if your mother scared you. Although I know my parents are not good people, but my father's tone still made me nod in grievance. Fourth sister slept soundly. My mother suddenly cried. She tied my hair with a red headband, waved to me. Jyoti, don't be afraid. How could your parents bear to kill you? Mom was just scaring you. He said to look outside with my mother's vigilance. Dad pats Mom's hand. Don't worry. The people in this village. Who doesn't know that we are just going through the motions when we find the place? Everyone went home. I took off the cloth head stuffed in my mouth myself. I'm afraid they'll torture me. Scared me to tears. Mom and Dad, you want to kill me. Just cut me on the neck. Just don't let me suffer. I wipe away my tears. It's better to die. Go downstairs and reunite with your sisters. Just parents. Please leave fourth sister behind. There is enough money at home. Stop killing fourth sister. Finally have time to talk. I have to give my last words to my mother. It's best to rely on the girl and me in this village. When I die, Mom, give Leia more. Get something to eat. My mother puffed. I actually smiled at Jyoti with tears. You still don't believe it. Mother, you killed your daughter. I dare not believe. I beg you. I'm dying. Don't lie to me. I know that the eldest and second sisters were killed by you. The one buried in our flower pond at home is. Right, I look at him like a tabby cat. Playing me like a little mouse. I don't know if it's a conscious discovery. My mother suddenly choked up at this moment. His tears fell even harder. My father sighed. He walked to the side of little Shimo. After my sisters went missing, my dad cleaned up the east wing. Don't look at him as lazy, but he made this east wing himself. Stone mill, others lend a hand. The floor in this room is covered with high-quality wooden boards. I fell and bent down. He lifted the wooden board next to the stone mill with all his strength. Wave at me. Jyoti, come and take a look. I'm too soft to hold it. Roll and crawl over. I saw a cellar under the wooden board. It's dark inside at this time. Suddenly, an oil lamp lit up inside. Swift footsteps came. The light swayed and walked up slowly against the mud wall, mottled like ghost fire. I was so scared that I rubbed my body back. My heart almost jumped out of my throat. Suddenly the oil lamp went out. A head suddenly popped out of the cellar. Is a woman with a snow-white face. I almost screamed. My mother tightly covered my mouth, whispering in my ear about Jyoti. Don't be afraid. Take a closer look. That's your older sister. Big sister hasn't waited for me to see clearly yet. Then a face exactly the same emerged from behind. He tapped my jowdy with his scallion white fingertips. I am the second sister. I was stand there, since the two sisters disappeared without a trace. My mother said it was taken away by Evolve. I never heard Leia say it before. My sister was made into a pill by her mother. I always see my mother crying, only when the older sisters really fell into the Vault's belly. But since the sisters are still alive, why is my mother crying since all the sisters are alive? Why live in this lure? Why doesn't mom let them go home? Why do parents have to deceive people in the village? One question after another is crawling in my mind. I stood there blankly. Even my older sisters came to hug me and forgot to respond. The eldest sister reached out and pinched my face hard. I just came back to my senses. The sister's appearance hasn't changed much. Just can't see the sun all year round. The skin is pale with blood. I want to ask. Suddenly, there was a creepy cat meowing outside. Mother quickly asked the two sisters to take me to the cellar. Dad, bring the plank. Stomped a few more feet on top. Confirmed dry rock. Tidy up with your mother. Carry forth sister back to the room. The cellar is spacious. My dad also dug him into the nearby wood shed, not holding my breath at all. There is a big bed in the cellar. The three of us sisters sleep more than enough. There is also a dining table. Food and water are placed on top. There are also oil lamps and mirrors. Even the perfume for applying on the face is there. The sparrow is really small, complete, and my sisters are taller than before, also a little chubby, wearing clean clothes, combed in a neat bun. No matter how you look at it, it seems to be living well. The three of us hugged and cried for a while, finally stabilized my mood. I asked my eldest sister how she came to live here. Sister told me, 2 years ago, he and his second sister helped their parents dig up medicinal herbs. Because I just arrived in this village not long ago. The road on the mountain is not yet familiar. At a fork in the road, my older sister got lost with our parents. Not only lost, the two also climbed into the mountain depression. The area around the mountain is bare, high and steep. My older sister climbed up and had to nest underneath. Fortunately, there is a mountain pear tree next to it. He and his second sister didn't starve to death. They stayed down there for 7 or 8. God fortunately. Later, my parents found me. Mother is happy about something. Both sisters were not seriously injured. Just thinking about bringing it home. But my dad stopped me. My father said a sentence at that time. The two daughters stayed outside for 7 or 8 days. Go back now. I'm afraid those guys will fly the zither. And the stepfather dug a cellar for the light box in the house. Later, at night, bring my sisters back. Put it in the cellar. It's 2 years. Mother tell us, never be discovered. Otherwise your life is gone. Sister finished talking about this. Ask me to recruit. Do you know what flying a kite is? How can you not know? Not only do you know, I saw it with my own eyes, and I was disgusted to tell them. Widow Wang in the village used Chezhongxiang made by our mother. Become watery. Go drill into my uncle's room. It was discovered. Just release. The two sisters were scared into tears. And I thought for a moment, since the day I moved to this village, it's the first time I've steamed it. Because I came back that day, Mother also asked Father if it was good to let people steam. So I'm sure Dad hasn't seen it before. When Dad found you, why are you afraid that you will be flung by the villagers? Besides, my sisters didn't have an affair with a man. Why fly a kite? The two sisters don't understand either. We were worried for a while. I had to blow out the light and sleep. The next morning, my mother came to the sedan to get the urine jar. I just remembered. In the past, there was always so much urine in the urine jar poured by my parents. I was wondering. Your Highness finally understands. It turned out that there were two sisters who arrived. It's warm now. The three of us were tired of chatting in the cellar during the day. Just go to the vent in the woodshed when no one is there. You can also sneak your head out and take a look. My mother has already removed my strands of hair. It's hanging on the wall of the east wing. 3 strands side by side. The wives who came to visit saw. A tacit nod. This is the signal to start mounting the middle compartment. Since I got lost, more and more people are seeking medicine at home. My parents thought about it. Finally, 49 people were selected. To Tales of Silver %. Wait for the money. If you don't buy it, you won't come home anymore. The beer is also busy tending to the seedlings in the field. Nothing like these to Tales of Silver. The house suddenly became deserted. My father is also busy, going up the mountain to collect hers during the day. Come to Dongxiang to grind medicine at night. My mother followed with her 4th sister in her arms. Let us out now and then. My 2 sisters are timid. I never understood why it was seen by the villagers. You have to fly a kite. I can't hold back. I asked my mother. My mother pondered for a while. Do you know why Widow Wang died? Drilled into his uncle's house. Mother nodded. The archway in this village is a chastity archway. The villagers value the chastity of women the most. Your 2 sisters were out for 7 or 8 days. Come back to the village at this time. I can't be said to be outside. It's been ruined. At that time, we will have 10,000 mouths and we can't tell. You can only wait to be released. Our sister 3 suddenly realized. No wonder my mother has her sisters hiding under this cellar. In the early days, my mother just wanted to keep her daughter alive. Later, I found out that the people in this village are like human life. It doesn't matter if you kill or eat. On the contrary, he is still very superstitious about using living people as medicine. So mother will do everything. Make them think. My 2 sisters. He was killed by his own parents to make medicine. Think of this. I'm a little worried. Mother, how long will this be hidden? My mother sighed, looking at the flower pond outside. Eyes are turning red soon. It won't take a year. For a year I run around the village all day. It's only been closed for a few days, and I can't take it anymore. I'm afraid I'm not going crazy after closing for a year. I will act coquettishly with my mother and parents. Why don't we move? Go far. We're not from this place either. Who knows you and Dad? Why did you suddenly move to this village? We used to be from another county, several mountains away from this village. My grandfather's family owned a pharmacy. Business is doing well. One year, someone suddenly came to my grandfather's house. My mother went to meet. I'll be sick when I come back. I'm almost blind from crying. So my mother cried for 3 months. One morning, my parents suddenly told us to move elsewhere. Hit that back. Mother would apply incense paste to the 3 of us sisters every day. It's almost marinated when applied to people. Said it was okay to go. We hired a carriage with luggage. Came to this mountain village. Arrived here. My mother told the villagers that he could make chezongxiang. They said they put a pill in their belly button. Then you can show off your slender waist. Fragrant all over. Wine and do slender waist. Fragrant all over. This is a villager. You can believe it just by seeing the 3 of us. Just put the pills in your belly button. No one believes this for now. At that time, I also thought my mother was bluffing, because I haven't heard of him making this thing in the past. She has never been to the pharmacy of the housewife's house. Usually at home, it's those points. The craftsmanship is not very good. 10 fingers are almost poking into sieve eyes. Until my mother really made that red pill. 5 taels for 1 serving. Sold to Chong and B in Yingshan building. I just believe that my mother has this ability. Since you have this ability, where to earn this money is not good. Must make the 3 of us sisters live such a miserable life. Fake death and keep it in the cellar. Living in the dark in this mountain village. My mother heard me say I'm moving. Shaked his head. Be obedient on the ground. Parents' business is not finished yet. Can't leave until things are done. Let's leave as soon as possible. Glanced at Dad. He is throwing several poisonous scorpions into the stone mill. The grinding disc rotates. Make a gurgling sound. The poisonous scorpion turned into mud in a blink of an eye. The millstone flowed into the large barrel below. Dad saw me burying his head to scrape off the mud. Listen to your mother in a daze. I'm deflated. I saw my dad take out a mud basket again. Remove the orchid cloth tied on top. A snake sprang out of it. The snake teeth have been pulled out. I shrank my head in fright. I saw my father catch a snake and throw it into the millstone, followed by centipedes, toads, and geckos. I was so shocked that I almost jumped up. Parents, did you use these poisons to make pills? Things placed in the navel won't cause any problems. My mother smiled and sold it before. It is made with flower oil, coral aconite, and pearls. Today, Chezhongxiang was sold to the villagers. Of course, parents have to add some ingredients. Why revenge? Mother didn't say she wanted revenge, but I saw him grit his teeth in hatred. I know this grudge is not light. Mother is crying again, looking at the flower pond outside. My sisters and I didn't dare to speak again, silently underground in the cellar. The next day, my father's brothers came again. He said he came to talk to my dad. Actually, I came to inquire when the incense will be ready. My dad is drinking a little wine. Don't worry, don't panic. Those people were so anxious that they scratched their heads. You should take a look. Now in the village, besides your sister-in-law, which woman can look at it? Widow Wang used incense before. It's quite watery. It wasn't our turn to use it, so we were released. Renjing, bro, you should hurry up with your sister-in-law. Get the pills out. Gently drill into sister-in-law's room. You have to do the right thing. Wait until you use your medicine. My wife has become more beautiful. I will buy it every year from now on. Also let my wife give birth to Jyoti. Their sisters for girls with natural body odor came, even if sent out as a concubine. The money spent on buying Chezhongxiang can also be earned back. It is. I see with this Chezhongxiang. From now on, all the girls in our village can become precious. They broke it apart and talked to my dad about reasoning. My dad is not agitated. He seems to have really understood. Rushing is not a deal. Those people are boring. Go to the window of the house to see my mother. But my mother had already pulled the curtains. They can't see anything. Finally, someone mentioned a sentence. The widow Wang asked people to make money. No one has ever tasted it. His younger brother-in-law must have tasted it. Talk about others. That's the clan leader. Why don't you go ask the tribal chief what it feels like? Does it taste as good as those two daughters back then? Just as I was talking, my dad smashed a wine bottle and rolled over. The speaker's head was hit hard. Blood is coming out of the forehead. The man covered his head and looked at my father with hatred. The person next to him went to pull him. Why didn't you close the door with your mouth? Forgot that there are also twin daughters missing from Big Brother's house. What are you talking about twins here? It makes people sad for no reason. The man was pulled along, very dissatisfied, whispering in his mouth. His twin daughters didn't make pills. What a pity he's here again, walking away while talking. My dad straightened the room for a while, carried a bucket of water, go to the fence to water the flowers. My two sisters and I were stunned. My dad is a troublemaker. I'm also lazy, but since I came to this village, speaking is often unpleasant. I've never had this kind of dispute with anyone. What's going on today? My older sisters are alive and well. Why did he get anxious when he heard about twin girls? I thought carefully about what that person said. Mudidai looked at our two older sisters, who are the good-tasting twins they mentioned.